college video. So for this assignment, we are going to be looking at all the different parts that we will be using to build all of our mechanisms, the windmill, the dragster, and anything that we build in automation robotics. We'll start off with bolts and keep nuts. Bolts come in many sizes. Most of the time you're going to use the black ones, and you use the keep nuts with these. You want to always choose the smallest side needed to get the job done. So a lot of times people will use the largest screws they can find, but a lot of times that doesn't fit in the things such as the standoffs, or it's too large for the metal plates. So make sure you're using the smallest size you can to get the job done. Next is keep nuts. Like I said, they're used with the bolts, and they're used to tighten onto the bolts and hold parts together. The big thing about these is the silver skirt that you will see on them goes toward the metal. So do not face the skirt to the outside. Make sure it's going, when you screw it in, it's toward the inside of the metal. Next is bearing flats. They look like a black traffic light. They are used to stabilize the shaft, which means that the shafts will turn inside the bearing flat while the bearing flat is stable. Okay, it's not moving. Those bolts and keep nuts are used to tighten those bearing flats onto the metal. Then you have locking bearing flats. They're very similar to the regular bearing flats. They look just like the traffic light, except they have a metal piece in the middle with the two regular holes on the outsides. The shafts here will turn with the locking bearing flat. So instead of the locking bearing flat being in place and the shaft turning inside of it, the shaft will turn with it. This is good to use on the windmill project that we'll do later for Lab 9, so keep that in mind. Next is spacers. Those are the plastic pieces that provide a space between the metal and the gears. They help to keep the different gears in place, and there's various sizes and colors that I have here in class. Just to mention that the colors do not matter. We oftentimes get students using or looking at my models and models of other people and seeing they used orange ones or purple ones or black ones or green ones, and they decide to do that because that's what another person did. That is not learning, that is just copying. You do not need to worry about the color, you just need the spacer. Then you have the shaft collars. So I have two kinds of shaft collars for our class. They are plastic or metal. They are used at the end of each shaft to hold everything on the shaft in place. So you're going to have two shaft collars for each shaft, one on each end. Do not use the shaft collars as spacers. The plastic ones are easier to put on, but the metal is better because it'll make it more stable. The metal shaft collars can be tightened with the green screwdrivers. Next we have the shafts. So the shafts are the skinny metal pieces used to hold the gears, sprockets, wheels, cams, bevels, spacers, and shaft collars in place. Basically, any sort of gear we have in this class, it goes in the shaft. The shafts go through the bearing flats, either locking or the regular ones. And in order for these to work well, you need 2 points of contact on any mechanism. That means that the shafts go through 2 pieces of metal when you are putting together any sort of model or build. Then you have the standoffs, long metal pieces that are used to hold the metal plates together. They have threads in the inside, which is where the bolts screw into, as you can see from the red arrows. Now we have the base plate. Base plate's pretty simple. It's a large metal plate. It's the largest metal plate that we have in here. It's your base that you build everything off of. Then you have the rail and the slider. So these two parts go together. The rail on the left side is the metal plate that has grips along the sides. It's not the same as other ones like a C-channel that we'll talk about next, but it has grips that hold it onto metal plates. You use that with the slider. So the slider's that green piece, and it slides along the rail on the crank and slider system. That's the only time you'll use these. And there's various sizes of rails, but there's only one size of the slider. Now we have metal plates. So these are just the flat metal plates. They come in a variety of sizes. You'll see there the 4 different sizes. And those are a little different than the C channels, which are the metal plates with sides. So as you can tell on the C channels, there's sides along there for putting the shaft through, but there's not on the metal plates. To tell the different sizes, you'll count the holes as like a length times a width kind of thing. So this is a 5 by 5, 5 holes by 5 holes. There's a 5 hole by 15. They're 5 by 25 and the 1 by 25 here. With the C channels, they come in 4 different dimensions. There's the first side 1 by 5 by 1 by 25 holes. And then up here we have the 1 by 2 by 1 by 25 holes, as you can see on our 2 dimensions. Next we have our gears. They have many small teeth. They're used on the simple gear train and idlers, come in many sizes. You're going to use these quite a bit, and they turn by connecting with other gears. Then we have the sprockets. They have larger teeth. They're used with the chains on the chain drive system. That's the only way they move. They do not move by combining them together like with the gears. They also come in many sizes, big and small. Then we have the gussets. These are small angled metal pieces. You stand them up on the bottom and you put bolts and keep nuts to hold them into the metal. And then the long open sides are for bearing flats to put the shaft through at a different angle. They connect to the plates with bolts and keep nuts, like I said, and you use with the worm and wheel system. Next is the rack gear bracket. So these are U-shaped brackets. They connect to the plates on the bottom with nuts and bolts. You use it with the bevel gear assembly and possibly any other models that we have along with those gussets. And they come in large and small sizes. Next we have the bevels. So these are small slanted gears with many small teeth. Also come in many sizes. Used with the bevel gear system and only with other bevels that connected to them. So they can only turn with other bevels connected to them at a 90-degree angle. Then we have the cam. This is a circle-like gear with an angle piece on the end. This is a little bit of a funky looking part and it spins around on the shaft. You're going to use this with the cam and follower and the crank and slider systems. It only turns one direction because the other direction will get blocked by the flat end, and as you'll see with the cam and follower system, which makes it not reversible. And then finally, we have the follower. So the follower is on the left picture. That's the long plastic piece with a wheel on the end. It goes up and down using the follower plate, which is the gray piece on the right picture. You'll use this with the cam and follower system. And then on the right side here, we have the worm, which is a spiral looking gear. It's used on the worm and wheel system. You put the shaft through the middle of the worm. There's also various sizes and colors with that as well. So these are all the parts we're going to use throughout our mechanism. Please follow the worksheet and fill that out and submit to Canvas.